In the case that points in space are not dimensionless, if we put point A on one side of the universe and point B on the other side of the universe, which is spatially infinite, it would not work either, because for having infinite points between A and B, we would never be able to fix point B or point A. It is a limiting case where only mathematics and physics works, which tends to infinity. Man creates the reality he believes in. Human observation creates physics. Below small measure Planck time, there is no more time. Locally zero duration, dimensionless instants can only exist mathematically, not physically. When the space traversed by the tortoise becomes very small in relation to the space traversed by Achilles, when the notion of space traversed by the tortoise in relation to Achilles ceases to exist. For the observer, the tortoise stops and Achilles catches up with the tortoise. The problem can also be seen in another way. As for the universe, there is no difference between Achilles, the tortoise, and traveled space. As for the universe, matter and space have the same nature, as clearly exposed by the great Einstein. Despite the speed, Achilles' speed relative to the ground is 1 meter per second, and the speed of the turtle relative to the ground is 0.1 meters per second. Achilles can correctly assume that this situation is always at perfect rest with respect to space, and assert that it is the tortoise that approaches him with a speed of 0.9 meters per second, which will obviously make them collide in the clearest, most direct and simple explanatory way possible. From Achilles' paradox with the tortoise, we can draw 4 important lessons. The measures of space and time are not absolute. They are not infinitely divisible. They always depend on the observer, on the comparator, to exist. Mathematical abstractions do not always agree with physical reality. Matter and all other concepts of physics always have the same nature. We have to be careful when analyzing movement compositions to avoid falling into partial paradoxes. The fact that matter remains in uniform rectilinear motion forever in the absence of forces through empty space answers a fundamental question about matter. What is matter? Matter is the movement it presents. Matter has no other substance, no other nature than pure motion. Matter is purely and simply motion. The fact that uniform rectilinear motion is always also a perfect state of rest with respect to empty space answers another fundamental question. Are matter and space different things? The fact that matter is in motion in relation to some observer, in relation to some referential, and at the same time is also always in perfect rest in relation to another referential, and these two situations are always physically completely equally valid, or equivalent, reveals that matter and space are not entirely different things in fact. Matter and space have a common nature. Even though matter can move through space, it can never move regarding to space because space is continuous. The fact that space and time are exactly complementary, the fact that space and time form an exactly proportional block for any movement, for light and for all matter, explains why the speed of light is always constant, demonstrates that all matter moves in a speed always equal to that of light, decomposed into speed through space and speed through time, demonstrates that matter is equal to light in nature. Light is simpler than matter because it cannot present compositions of movements, which matter at speeds lower than that of light through space achieves because it appears more complex than light as a rotational stationary movement. Light is one of the simplest types of movement that we can perceive from space. Light has no mass at rest because it is a very simple movement and cannot present compositions of movements, which, if it happened, would imply variations in the speed of light through space. If light had mass at rest, it would be equal to matter and would be able to present compositions of movements. The space-time block is made of motions. As all motion is also always a perfect state of rest as a function of the continuity of empty space, the space-time block only exists locally. It does not exist for the universe. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel and give your like if you enjoy it.